impromptu late night painting video. I figured I gave you guys a little bit of less painting this week, so I do more. I had more multi-streaming this guy, so this is me kind of playing with the multi-streaming tools. Figured it was a good time to give. Ooh, okay, cool, interesting. So just playing with the multi-stream tools, but also kind of seeing what we can accomplish. So I have, I titled this stream, but I still am gonna say it wrong. That's hilarious. Um, it's amazing. It's being prepared for your stream. It really is. So we have Kragnos. Kragnos. So Kragnos is a giant AOS model. He has been in my backlog painting for a while. This is like, for me, the meat and potatoes of like why I love the fantasy realm of AOS, the fantasy realm of Warhammer, because you have amazing creatures like this. And obviously I thought of using him in many other scenarios besides just AOS. And for folks that don't know, he's in the destruction category, so he can be something you ally with orcs. So it's kind of on brand. We're still doing orc related stuff because I am an orc player in both the fantasy realm as well as the 40k realm. So that would be kind of cool to do it. Check him out. And sort of just do, like I said, an impromptu late night video. I know it's a little bit on the late side. My goal was to start this stream a little bit earlier, but the day got ahead of me. It's amazing how Saturdays are starting to become the packed day for me. Not the day of rest, even though it's one of my more standard days that I can sometimes do side projects. But we're going to be really ramping up and going into high gear. I know it's weird to say that when we're going into the holiday season, but I'm going to try to put together some cool stuff. For my Marvel Crisis Protocol players, just a reminder, I actually got news. New models are on their way. They are heading into the horizon. So we will have some very cool stuff. So eventually we will have official new models, which I think is pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that. And as always, a reminder, and like I said, we are doing multi-streaming tonight. So we are on YouTube. So for folks that find this interesting on YouTube and find us, consider signing up on that channel. We have a lot of backlog of painting videos on there. There is going to be some original content starting in the new year on there. So, you know, subscribe to the channel. I am going to try to be better in uploading. But I have some thoughts on YouTube, but we're going to really start doing our main produced content next year. So you want to also be part of that community. But if you are on Twitch, obviously follow, sign up for notifications, blah, blah. And I'll be reacting to the chat. I can actually see both chats. I cannot respond to the YouTube chat, but I can respond to the Twitch chat. And again, this is sort of a test for me too. I'm just giving you guys a moment to shuffle on in. I know when we go live, there is sometimes a delay until we get our audience back with us. But yeah, we're gonna start painting. We're gonna start painting Kragnos, and we're just gonna have fun, jump into it, and kind of see where things take us. There is a lot of ornate, crazy stuff on this. This is like my meat and potatoes. This is the stuff I love to paint because it is so wacky and zany. And he is essentially a god, or close to a godlike character in the AOS universe. You'll notice we changed our lighting and also the camera angles. So I'm hoping that everything is positioned in a better way. We're gonna kind of see how this goes. But here we go. So we're going to start with some orange on here. I know I'm painting one of the smaller areas, but this is actually more for me as a painter, because he has a lot of different hair and a mane and other stuff, and I want to kind of differential what I know I'm going to be painting one color versus another color off the bat. So yeah, so we can jump in there and get going. And as always, I say it to everybody who comes and sees and is part of our stream. If you're on the Twitch side of things, consider saying hi. Let us know what's on your mind. The show is always a better show when the folks out there are involved. I say it all the time. You know, our discussions and the questions you guys bring always make the show a better show and more interesting to be had. And I am using the Citadel contrast paints for folks that are curious. I use a variety of brushes. I do use the Citadel ones. Oh, and also I wanted to do a quick shout out to our sponsor for this video, Undiscovered Realms. If you want to check them out, you can check out their website. I have a link below for them on my Twitch stream. They ship anywhere in the United States. They have Age of Sigmar. They have Warhammer stuff. They have Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff. They have tons of other gaming and hobby stuff. They have Magic the Gathering. They have Pokemon. They have Vintage Toys. They have Funko Pops. All the good stuff. So consider checking them out. Because supporting them is always awesome. They are my local shop. So I like to really support local businesses as much as I can. But like I said, do not be shy. You know, let your voice be known. Let your voice be heard. And like I said, for any of the folks out there that might be first-time painters with us, I love answering questions and checking in with you and seeing what you have going on your painting table. It's always a lot of fun to do that. So now he's a really cool character because he's got, like I was saying, a lot of really amazing tones. I'm gonna probably differentiate the tones a little bit. So in the world of Ham, there is essentially a solid tone. In the painting sample, they do pretty much tone him out with more flesh tone throughout. I think I'm gonna do that. I'm probably gonna stay the course and do it. But oh, did I miss? Oh, interesting. Okay. Noticing potentially an assembly error. Okay, I'm gonna have to just rock it. But yeah, he's got all kinds of cool stuff. He's got like slash details. He's got all kinds of like hidden little gems of details inside of his model. So I'm intrigued. I'm very excited about painting this model and seeing what we got to offer. But like I said, do not be strangers to posting up, saying hi. You know, being so I'm using Guilliman now for the flesh tone. Probably going to have to do some modification where we lighten the flesh tone a little bit. What I tend to that's too much water. I was gonna say what I tend to like to do with the contrast paints is I like to dilute it so you get like more of a wash that sort of gives you a primer. Because Guilliman, specifically this color, it has a tendency to go on very, very thick and very, very dark. But it is sort of the contrast go-to for like skin tone or organic skin tone. And you'll see that there's a lot of, you know, detail, damage, veins. So I want to like make sure that I, you know, that I maintain that that tone. Because yeah, I want it more like a subtle, and then we could always build darker tones into it. I always like to go light to, I mean, again, with contrast paints, you want to try to work light to dark. Um, so, but obviously the skin is one of the bigger areas of the model to paint. So it is a good idea to start with that area, because it's like one of your biggest painting areas. So you always like to go, and that's just like a painting trick, to go to big to small too when you're painting. Not that I'm going to try to speed paint him, because he is one of those models that, you know, you want to put the time in because he's got a lot of detail. And, you know, he's a big monster character. Again, not I believe in AOS you could, I don't think you could take him, I mean in certain factions you could take him as a, I believe, a general, but like for a way I'm going to play him, I would play him in my orc army, so he would be more of an allied character in that. So you'd be taking him as your allied slot. He's got like, yeah, he's got some really cool stuff. He's got bones in there. He's got like spikes in there. So like there's a lot of detail that you gotta like do in here. So this is gonna be a really nice painting project. I feel like you guys really like when we do the bigger models. Not that you don't dislike when we do smaller models, but I feel like these bigger painting projects are like cooler. And obviously if you're watching the channel week from week, I feel like you get more enjoyment out of like the fulfillment of seeing the progression of these. I don't know if you guys have that. Obviously I'm going to try to be a little bit more proactive to doing newer models. The problem, I say it all the time, is that everything you guys see me do on the channel, it's all done out of my own pocket. So, you know, I do kind of reserve, kind of try to do things that come out for the factions that I play. Because I just can't do every single model. So it is hard, and lately a lot of the releases have been geared towards other factions that I just don't have either a collection of models from, or I just never had intentions of playing them. So excuse me, they're not high on my radar for like things that I want to explore, because eventually what we want to do is do more full battle reports, and I want to start getting my go-to factions done. But you know, I always say it with Warhammer, you know, they have a release cycle. So, you know, every faction kind of has its moment where they like give it some more models. So, you know, a lot of the factions that I play have in some cases kind of had that moment. They've had that refresh. But because I am an insane, I love painting models and I love collecting models, I am bad about I'm very, oh, that's very dark. I'm very bad about getting more models. So I am guilty of that wholeheartedly and hands down. That I just keep buying more and more models. So I have a very embarrassing pile of non-painted stuff, which I think, to the point of most model makers out there, or model makers, most commissioned painters or painters, I think we could all attest that we have, like most of us have, an embarrassing non-painted pile. And if you do commission painting, usually your non-painted pile is even worse, because obviously your some of your time gets devoted to those projects, so you actually even more so don't always get to paint your own stuff. So go. So this will be a nice base tone. I'm like I said, I may, for his lower extremities, like the horse part, I might go a little darker or like do a tone, a light to dark progression. I might do that. I don't know. Sorry that my other camera is bugging out a little bit. Like I said, I kind of did a little bit of a phase 1 change where I moved my lights around and stuff. Basically, for my whole painting setup, I have to look for a few other pieces of equipment that I'm going to use. And once I get those, I can get the camera positioned in the right way. But I think we might have cracked the code on like how I need to position my camera now, so you guys get a more consistent stream. Because now I think you guys are getting more of the detail on like a better close-up. And it also doesn't look as like chaotic as it used to. So definitely the forward camera is the right way to go. But I'm gonna do it even better. So it's angled better and it's like supported better. But I have to buy a little bit more equipment to do that. So, and if I can ever crack the code on another issue that I'm having, I might be able to get a few other things to happen. So now, like I said, I'm just going through and basing it with that Guilliman, and then I'm gonna go back in and all of these like veiny parts and some of this other stuff. Probably gonna do a little bit of a white dry brush on top of, just to kind of bring that detail back, and then I'll paint over it. So we'll have that. We'll have those veins popping up. We'll have all that detail come back. But I just love this model. I like how visceral and like how obviously how creature-like it is. I think it's really, really cool. And yeah, I don't know what you guys think of late night painting. I know sometimes we have a little bit of a slow growth start. But I also knew from many of my followers and people that are live and watch with us that you all are probably diligently maybe working on your own stuff, or using this time to get some painting projects done. Which, by the way, power to you. And it's been a theme for this week, but I always like to tell people when they're watching, like, I just want everybody out there to know, like, if you are enjoying that time, and, that is how you spend your weekends, maybe that's how you spend an evening, maybe, that's a dream of mine. I would be mesmerized if, like, there was ever commentary that, like, I was... like people had that's like, that would be like the coolest success moment that I've ever had, if like a local gaming store, because I know a lot of local gaming stores have like started doing this. They might put like Twitch or like YouTube on, and like if you guys, like if people commented in the stream, they were like, oh, we're at our local like gaming spot, and we're actively watching you live while we're playing like AOS or like Kill Team or 40K, I would laugh my ass off. I think it would be the most hilarious thing on the planet, and I would like 110% appreciate that, and it would be such a moment of just knowing like an achievement of success to me, that I would just find it hilarious. Because, God bless if, like, because I know for a lot of people, like, having a place in your community where you could probably play or game is probably not something you have. Especially after the pandemic and, all of the different things that are going on now. I can imagine that, like, in the world of, I'm in America, but I know that a lot of people that watch this are, like, are also, like, in other countries. I know, like, for me, that it is few and far between to come by, like, places that are places like that. Like, we lost a lot of those places, especially during the pandemic. Um, but I know, like, in other countries. So if you're like, if you're more like um, European or even other areas in the world, the presence for like tabletop and gaming can be a little bit different. Mostly because you know uh, the accessibility for a lot of these products is a lot different. Um, for me being in America, a lot of these products become imported goods. Um, so the pricing is definitely not the same. So it can make some of this a little less accessible to the average person. I will say that a lot of these companies are getting better at making more accessible abilities for these games. Some of that's in creating, smaller scale games. Some of it is creating what I would call better entry points to some of these games. So there is definitely efforts that have been made, but I know that could be just challenging in itself. So, and I also know that right now there may be some folks out there, and that's why I wanted to test the waters. I think next year we're going to try to do it. I didn't coordinate to be part of like Thankmas, which I know a lot of oh, that's cool. All right, so my camera is going to decide to do that. Great. Gotta love live stuff. Live streaming always works flawlessly. Um, what I was going to say was, um, I know a lot of YouTubers and Twitch streamers are, they're participating in Thankmas. Um, I think next year I'm gonna start trying to do some of that stuff where we do charity stuff. And just kind of see, with very small goals. I'm not gonna go like really aggressive, but so I do not blame folks tonight if you are watching one of those streams, and you should go and donate and support them. I know, like, I think it was Jacksepticeye had his thing, and Markiplier had. So there's like top streamers out there that are like doing all that stuff. So please do support them. Charity is always an amazingly good thing. Um, and I there's another form of charity that people don't like think about, but time is another form of charity. So, like, at this day and time, if you feel like you can't necessarily contribute monetarily to something like that, don't forget that, like, time is another form of charity. So maybe you're not doing that, but if, like, there's a local group, or there's, like, other means in your own community where you can, like, donate time or donate, that could be just as valuable. So, no, a lot of people, when they look at stuff like that, people get intimidated by charity, that, like, they can't do enough. But yeah, I'm gonna start to maybe try to definitely get into some of that, so our channel can kind of do that. Because I think it's about time. You know, I mean, we're still trying to find our footing, but that's no excuse for not like doing charity stuff. You know, like there's no excuse. Like you can't sit there and say, well, I'm not big enough to do that or whatever. Like, I should be doing stuff like that. You know, because if you look on Twitch, or even if you look on I'm sure like YouTube, you know, there are definitely small time streamers who probably don't have don't have a big cache of followers. I do feel like the people who do the charity normally are probably affiliated or doing other stuff, but regardless, you can still participate. You can still be part of it. You know, like I said, you just obviously I would have very humble goals, but every little bit would help, you know. Oh God. See, and this is what I want to avoid, which is going a little too dark with it. Because then what happens is when you go to look at your model, like that Guilliman, like I was saying before, just has a tendency to dry very dark. So I like to be very like specific on how I apply it, because it can be a very dark color. But we're getting there. And like I said, I always love to hear in the stream, what are you guys working on? What faction do you play? And again, if you are somebody who found us and maybe you are not the biggest Age of Sigmar player, but you play more, 40k, then you are still part of the conversation and you can still contribute to it. I always say that to folks that are watching me. Just because I am painting an AOS model, just because I'm painting, even in this case, a model that is part of the Faction of Destruction, do not think you can't ask me questions about painting other units. I've painted a ton of GW models. I've painted so many different models. Everything, probably most factions I've at least taken a crack at painting it, probably at least once. It might have been like more of a, it might have been more of a, either like a centerpiece unit or like a more, more detailed unit of the army. But because the reality is, for a lot of people who do commission, who do decide to go ahead and maybe grab someone to do commission paints for them, I do find in my experience that a lot of people will choose their, a more centerpiece unit, like their general or a larger monster or something, because they might want to just like give some love to that unit, versus the other stuff in their painting catalog. And it makes logical sense when you like think about it. because if you don't consider yourself as strong of a painter, you know, you might be intimidated doing a more detailed model like this. So you may say to yourself, "Oh, let me get somebody there." The other common commission I get a lot is people who want their own D&D model. So like if they do like Hero Forge or some of these other companies to do custom models. You know, they'll want to get their model painted professionally. So that when they're on the tabletop side doing their D&D campaign, you know, they can have the character they envision in their head with the paint job that like they think he has. So it really embodies that, so they feel like they're immersing themselves in the campaign more. I think the best thing a DM can do is definitely like give you know, use models for that. I think that stems a long way. Yeah. I'm just trying to, again, just really trying to get that base coat of that flesh tone in there. I know when people watch me do some of these streams, I know it's annoying sometimes to watch the base coating, but like as much as it is annoying sometimes to watch, it is probably one of the best lessons I could tell anybody. Really spend that time to give yourself a good base tone. Because you're going to be amazed at how, when you get further into your paint, how that base tone is going to shine. Because you're going to layer a lot of your color. You're going to layer all of your coloring off of that base tone. Especially if you're getting into things like contrast paints, because they are paints that are very, very much about that layering to get very cool effects. So be open to that process. Don't definitely be open to it, and definitely you know, make sure that you're taking that time. Now, I'm being a little sloppy on things like the chains and stuff because I am going to be going over that with a darker color. So like you'll see how it's going to hide it once it's done. And this goes back to what I was saying before about the idea that I'm going to like go back in and play around with some of the coloring. So I'm going to start darkening and doing stuff to this. So it's going to look even better as I go through and paint it. But I find that, again, building it from that lesser base, moving into a darker base is always a better... You're always going to get a better paint. You're always going to get a better... a better product. And you guys will see how we're going to go through and build and build and build. Now, what's funny about this guy is you're going to see how quickly this is going to start to come into focus. Because, you know, one of the things that's really cool about him is the fact that he is very few colors. He's not, because he has all of this like open skin, all this open flesh tone. He's a model that very quickly is going to start to come into his own, because he has a lot of so you're going to start to see, like, it's going to really start to come into focus. And then once we start to really get the details on him going and darken a lot of those muscle structures, so like you see depth in them, it's going to really start to come forward, and it's going to be really cool. And then a lot of the effects and a lot of the, you know, different things that we have to work with here. I'm still a little sniffly. You know, for the most part, I got rid of pretty much most of what was going on. But I have like kind of a low level cold that's just like lingering and sticking around. Oh, that's very watery. Okay. That's annoying. I'm probably gonna have to go back over that once it dries. But yeah, sometimes when I'm trying to do this, like, when I'm trying to do this more like base kind of tone, like I was talking about, I'll get a little, I'll go a little too watery with the paint, and then I'll lose some of the definition. Okay. All right. Very good. Again, another thing is, like, that goes back to that base tone. There's so many little crevices and places that, like, you may find you need to paint. Probably going to start switching to my smaller brush. But I like where we're getting to with him. He's starting to come together pretty nice. I may also have to retire this smaller brush because bristles are starting to do the separating on me. You know, sometimes what will happen is the bristles will have some dry paint in them. So you'll actually see so I think he's got like a nose ring, or he's got like horns in there or something. So I'm gonna have to take a look at the paint sample, kind of take a look. But I'm just going in there just to get that you know, just to get the skin tone all painted. Now he's got those horns as well. Gets tricky, but like I said, I think this brush is starting to show its time. But I bought a couple of these brushes. I actually bought these from my local art store. I love these brushes because they're so small. But once the brushes start to kind of not hit the model the right way, you know, it becomes a liability when you're painting because the bristles will separate and then like you'll get these stray bristles that'll kind of like mess up your paint. So you do want to kind of get that under control because you're just going to keep going into it with you know, you're going to keep going into it with like lots of mistakes, and then you're just going to have to keep repainting or re-going over the same areas because of the mistakes. So you might as well just throw the brush out and get yourself a new brush. Alright, let's see what we got going on here. So there's definitely some areas that I have to get into. Well, before we do that, let's get things like our hand done. And like I was saying before, guys, if there's any questions that you have, whether it be about just regular painting, GW models in general, even just like how to get started with AOS or even 40K, I always say that when we're doing any Warhammer stream, you know, throw those questions out there. You know, there's even, it's crazy how like much people don't know that like there are so many different games that they make. They even make like what they call box games, which actually happen in a lot of these universes. So those are cool because maybe you want to get into playing one of those box games, but then by going in and playing the box game, you're actually starting to collect a faction. So now, you've actually started to make that investment, but you're learning and having fun playing a smaller level game. You know, and that goes back to what I was saying before about them making a lot of tiers. You know, what I would consider, other entry points for the game. So, you don't have to do that big investment. If you yourself are just maybe starting out and checking out the waters and seeing, what can I do? Because I remember as a new Warhammer player, in both the fantasy setting and in the 40K setting, I remember it just being a hard gig, a hard idea. Because you go into your local store, whatever that is, the first place that maybe you found that carries Games Workshop products, and you're looking at all of the different products that are out there, and it can be what I would consider daunting, for a newer player. And depending on the culture in your store or in the area or the place that you might be getting exposed to Warhammer, that could be a mixed bag as to whether that was a positive experience or a challenging experience. Because I say it all the time, people who tend to have knowledge can sometimes not always be the best. They don't always take the teaching approach or the sharing approach. Now, when it comes to things like a game like this or with hobbying, I don't want to vilify everyone that's like in your local gaming store, because that's not true. There the flip side of everything I'm saying also exists. So like, and I will say, as a point of respect and pride, that most places that I've gone to, or most places that most stores that I've been a part of, are usually more the positive force. They're not, they're not that negative side of the coin. But because this is a hobby, and in a way, there's some, obviously, it goes without, sorry guys, it goes without saying that, like, obviously there's a lot of expression in this hobby, because you're painting miniatures, and there's like a level of skill and pride, and there's nothing in the rule book that says you are a bad person if you take, you're a bad person if you take pride in your ability, your model painting skill, any of those things. Because again, it's an art form. It's a form of art. You're expressing yourself. So you should be able to, be happy when you achieve a goal, or you like paint something to a level that maybe you didn't paint before. Like, you should be happy about that. But the part that sometimes I feel can go a little too far in a store is that people will, sort of shame another person. Like, they'll make them either feel like they didn't do as good of a job, or, again, their view of the situation is to be like, oh, well, yes, you did, you did do a good effort, but like, but like, this is, like, this is the worst paint job I've ever seen. And they can be a little, come off a little bit more judgmental, than, I think they wanted to be, because they're so prideful about like how they do things, that the way they like facilitate or try to teach the person is they just look at them and go like, well, next time, here's what you should have done. And that's nice, but like, for a new person, like, let's say a new painter, they might have, you don't know how many hours they spent to do or to produce like what you're seeing. Like, what if they like spent amazingly long amounts of time to produce the model you're seeing, and now you're basically talking to them and basically making the, you're presenting it in a light that's like, I know that you spent X, Y, and Z hours on this, but like, this is like 100% like just not done well. And it's like, okay, well, at the current level and skill that they have, like, that was their best effort for right now. But but obviously if they keep painting, they'll find themselves eventually, probably doing they'll you get better over time, like, it's not, like, you find your groove and your rhythm as you paint for longer, you know, and you learn techniques and you learn different things, and you say to yourself, "Ooh, okay, I understand." So like what you guys are seeing now, I'm taking the Guilliman, and now that I've painted, and we have a pretty good amount of. I'm gonna just lessen that a little bit. So now that I have, you know, I have the Guilliman. It dried a little bit. Now this is what I love about contrast. Now I can go back in and just reapply that Guilliman, and you can already see I have a much, more robust, like, shadowing line. And so now you get this instant, like, super definition that looks just so good. And you can start building your shadows in, and then what happens is the lighter areas become my highlight. Now, sometimes, like the way that this is now, it might be too washed out. So I might bring more detail back into that. I might start to even bring a different brown in there to darken it. But you can see just how, like, impactful that is. And all I've done is, like, it's just a couple of little tweaks. And that's what's cool about when you have characters that are a little bit more, you know, that are a little bit more monotone like this. Because you can start to play with the idea, and I'm doing it now, of just, like, bringing that darker tone in there. So you're creating these nice natural shadows. And this is why I say to people all the time, I really like to paint models that are assembled, because then you see how the natural light falls on them, and you can play that into your shadows. But yeah, this is already looking, like, so fabulous. And again, all I'm doing is just applying the Guilliman back onto the model, and a lot of it is just, I'm following natural lines, I'm following natural pockets, and creating shadow areas. And I'm going to do this throughout the whole model, and you guys will see as I build that up, it'll instantly just look like he's built and jacked, and he's got other stuff going on. But it instantly creates drama. It's like an instantaneous, like, kick in the drama pants. Okay, so these are all, like, silver bands, which we can do lead belcher for those. Or actually, you know what would be kind of cool? What if we did the Ruin? Let's try that Ruin Lord. I'm going to give him, I think, gold highlights there, which I think will be kind of cool. Now, I'm wondering if the stream manager is showing me the wrong info. So this was something I wanted to check. When you have the multi-stream on, whoa, my bit rate is terrible. Okay, that's what I thought. Let's see if that jumps. If that jumps, then my theory is correct. If it doesn't jump, then my theory is not correct. Okay, but the live, it looks fine. Why does it... Sorry, guys, that I'm, like, going... Okay, so interesting. So, okay, so I think when I do the multi-stream, there is, like, a... Like, why is my bit rate so bad? Are you guys getting a choppy stream? Because when I'm looking at the stream, it looks like it's live and it's okay. Because that would explain a lot as to why, like, the stream is, like, not... Let me just see something. Okay, so it's definitely not... I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm doing, like, weird stuff. Okay, so that popped up now. Okay, so that probably means... Yeah, no. That's weird. I don't know why it says the bitrate's so bad. That's super weird. Okay. Cool beans. Yeah, I don't know. That's really weird. All right. Like I said, don't be a stranger. Let me know what you guys are up to. Pop some comments in. Pop some thoughts. I want to hear what's on your minds in this wonderful weekend. Late night painting session. This was just me kind of having some fun and also playing with that multi-stream tool, because not that we're doing tons of multi-stream opportunities, but we are streaming on YouTube and on Twitch. I'm using the Ruin Lord Gold. I know in the painting sample they did these as silver, but I kind of like the idea of doing them in gold. I think it's kind of cool. Now I don't. Okay, this brush might not be the best brush to use. I think I got an 86 this brush in favor of a newer one. I don't usually do metallics early, but he's got so many like different. Yeah, I think this brush is ready to. I think this brush is ready to implode. So you guys will see. I'll show you. Oh jeez. You see how the bristles are separated. I think it's time. Like I said, I bought extras of this brush because I liked it so much. Probably gonna have to go buy some more, but I think he's gonna get retired. And you can see the difference between a new one and how much more of a point that is. And you'll see as we are doing this the difference in control, because the minute I have like an actual brush that works the way it's supposed to, I won't be sliding all over the place. The secret to keeping your brushes this way is cleaning them and making sure that you clean them properly. But I have been using that brush for a while, because that's the other thing too. Brushes will inevitably have bristles falling out of them, other things. So you know, they don't last forever. They do like naturally fall apart. Oh, all right. So we're having some fluctuations. I'm seeing. Interesting. Okay. And like I said, for the folks that are watching, like, let me know what the quality of the stream is. If it's like, I mean, it's weird. They're telling me that it's like low or unstable, and the only thing I'm concerned about is that my audio is cracking, because I feel like that's what usually happens when I see that. Because usually the video is not showing that. So like, I have it up now and it seems like it's going fine. So I don't know if Twitch is just reporting back the wrong stuff, or what is happening, but I don't know. But yeah, if you guys can let me know, because I love Twitch, but sometimes the dashboard tools they give us, um, they tell us one thing, but then like the reality is something else. And then what I've discovered tonight is that if you're using the multi-stream tool through Streamlabs, I can't. It doesn't always report back the accurate number of viewers watching. So I've noticed that too. So there's a couple of other things. But this is kind of why I wanted to, I've been doing sometimes for these late night impromptu ones. I'm just kind of like playing with the idea, seeing what happens. I'm just getting used to like working with the two platforms at once. But for those folks that are watching us, thank you for being with us tonight. I know sometimes for myself, and it looks like others, I can imagine for a lot of people, and I guess this depends on the time zone you're in, because I'm going to say like on a weekend, but for some it may not be the weekend yet, or maybe into your weekend, or the weekend might be coming to a little bit more of an end. But I can imagine for a lot of folks, the weekend time is probably your hobby time. This is probably like a time where you have the ability to work on your stuff and might have that extra time, because unlike myself being a streamer, you probably don't schedule your life around certain days or painting days. I can imagine. Thank God it's only on one foot, because as much as I love this little detail, because I think it's awesome, this is a pain in the butt to paint, because it's so small. It's such a small little detail on him as a big model, and now I have to do Guilliman in between, because that of course is where all that is, so it's pretty annoying. Yeah, he's just got, there's so much detail in here that I'm gonna have to like go through. On the painting sample, a lot of this stuff is like blue. He has like a bluish armor. I'm just looking to see, like, is there anything else I want to ornate with the gold? Not really, because the chains, I want to keep a certain color. Maybe some of the hanging doodads I might do in a different color, but I do want to keep it a little bit more on that authentic side, where the bigger armor pieces are the blue, because I think color-wise he'll just look really cool like that. So we're going to move on to Skeleton Horde, because I'm going to start painting the bone elements and start getting into some of that. So a lot of the horns and stuff he has sticking out of him. I find that works really well with the Guilliman. I know it's crazy. I feel like I do use a lot of the same colors, but it's just because it's my preference on like how I like to paint. Because I like to, again, when you start to paint your faction or army, what I'm going to do is hooves in a black color. I already know that. And I'm probably going to do that I might do that for some of the bone fragments too, where I do like a dark bottom, so they're faded versus just like a straight color. And you can already see, like, as we're getting these starting to paint, you can see how good they look, you know, when they're up against that Guilliman. Because then it looks like they're, you know, different forms coming out of that skin. They have that separation. The top, but definitely for the top and the hooves, I want to do a darker finish. But for these like little ones, I think the Skeleton Horde will be perfect. And while we're at it, let's get his teeth. Getting a little bit of a skeleton in there so we can start to infer those teeth. And I've said it before, when I'm doing creatures, I love doing, I'm going to come back and do his gums with the purple, but I love doing the teeth like, you know, with that with the skeleton, because then they look dirty. I don't like creatures to have like clean white teeth. I like them to look dirty, so they look like guttural. And because if you think about it, most creatures that are like, especially if it's like this, where he's part of destruction and he hangs out with orcs and other like more violent creatures, because he is basically a monster. I prefer to have them, you know, because you figure he's eating like humans and other creatures in the world. Like he's gonna eat them whole. He's not gonna like prepare them. He's probably gonna be guttural and like more brutal with his like killing. So probably not gonna have perfect dental teeth. I think it also makes him look more like menacing as well. So I like that look. I don't know. Others might choose to go a different route with theirs. I don't know. Any of you guys out there have any thoughts on the matter? And again, I'd love to know if you guys are having some issues either hearing us, or if the audio or video. I mean, again, I'm watching the stream and it looks like it's fine, but I don't know if the audio levels or stuff are like, because it keeps saying that the stream is unstable, but I'm not seeing that on my end. But I know Twitch. Sometimes Twitch just has its moments. As much as I love Twitch as a platform. It can definitely have its moments. And again, what you guys are noticing a lot is that I am you'll see that I'm doing a lot of like model turning and posing, because it's crazy. You know, you look at this model and there's just when the model gets larger, there's so much more detail that's packed in. So you really, really have to take a look. And, you know, see what you're looking at. What are you painting? Because he's got a lot of little, like, horn bits, and he's got bigger bits and other stuff. So yeah, it's crazy. I was going to say, if you guys are watching and have not yet followed the channel, please consider following. Sign up for notifications on, you know, so you know when we're live. We do 3 painting live shows a week. I do, on the weekends, do impromptu additional videos. Sometimes we do, like, gaming stuff. Sometimes we'll do, like, tonight, I just decided, you know what, I feel like doing some painting. I know you guys really, I feel like the majority of the folks on the channel either want to see us playing Switch related content, so like Pokemon stuff, or obviously dig our creative content, our painting and that kind of stuff. So I appreciate you guys for being here with us, and being active viewers of all that, which is amazing. You know, our goal, and my goal continues to be doing this on a more full-time basis, where we do not only the painting videos, but I give additional content, full reviews, all kinds of cool stuff. And we're really going to try to push forth with our best foot forward, starting in the new year. So in the first few months of the year, we're going to try to get into the groove of that, because I do have some additional folks that may be helping. And I thank you guys for being patient, because it's just taken a while to get people back on board. But yeah. So, you know, wow, there's just he's got so many different horns and things. Jeez Louise. I didn't realize how many of them were. But that's what's going to make him like a stellarly cool model, because he's going to have so much ultra detail on him. Between the mane, between that. You know, this is one of the... I love painting models like this, because it's just so much... They're so much fun. Because like I said, I mean, this, I always talk about this. It takes, whenever I do these models, it takes me back, because when I started hobbying, like many, you know, the hobby and the painting came first. The playing always came second. So I actually was painting models way before I like played any of the games that they were involved in. So this always takes me back when I paint models like this, because this is the type of model I would just buy, because it was like, you know, a super cool giant creature, and I would be like, oh man, I really want to paint this. You know, having no clue whatsoever about its like power in the game, or its rules, or like how I would put it part of the force. Never did any of that stuff. It just was... It just was this stuff. So, painting these always takes me back, because, you know, it makes me think of those details. And, like, you know, from a young age, I loved... Like, I mean... I obviously... I really, like, loved fantasy. A lot. Like, I was a huge fantasy fan. And specifically, what I would always love in fantasy was the creatures. So, yeah, this just became an immediate, like, love relationship with the subject matter. So, you know, that transitioned into my artwork. It transitioned into my hobby painting. It transitioned into everything, because even my artwork, that's why I love like cartooning and that kind of stuff, and anime, because I love doing, you know, super exaggerated forms, and love just creating creatures and like very unique characters. I very much did not like. I mean, obviously, being an artist and being a commission artist, for different things, I obviously learned how to draw people, but people were not usually not the first thing I wanted to draw. I always liked creating mystical or like, you know, some sort of unique character or creature. That always appealed to me more than humans did. Hence why I got really into like superheroes and superhumans and all that stuff, because you know, then we were back to not you know, not working with just run of the mill people. Nice. It's crazy. All I'm doing is painting horns, but he has so many of them. It's so many different places that as you guys are finding in the stream, I have to like I really have to like move him around and figure out where they are. Now he also has like teeth and like trophies on him on his necklaces and things. So I'm probably gonna do those in the skeleton as well. And again, I am looking at the painting sample for him, but I'm not 100% um I'm not 100% following it. Like I'm loosely following it, but I'm not like one for one following it. Like I'm taking elements I like. I'm switching some of the color palette to like what I like to do. Um, yeah, there's definitely more. Oh, there we go. It's crazy. It's crazy just how many of those, how many of these horns he has. You know, they're like all over the place. There's so like many of them throughout his character. Oh, there's one. Totally didn't even see that the first time. And they're like nestled into his armor, so they like pop up. And sometimes they're not symmetrical, which is interesting. I've noted. Oh nope. Should have known that they were. But what's interesting about, oh nope, there it is. What's a little interesting about them is that in some cases, it's not always, but in some cases, the way that they are, like they sort of move a little bit, but that's because when they did the modeling, they were trying to create motion. So they're sort of trying to like reposition them so it looks like he's turning and like going for that big hit. I mean, I know it's not like fully done, but you could see just with like the little bit of painting we did, like a little bit of that, like starting to do some shading, and just like getting those big areas painted. Like he already looks very good from his like painting situation. I kind of like that. So he's got, it's like orange there, and then it's like red, and like I said, a lot of it is that blue. He has like a lot of blue. But I actually do like the idea of him having like reddish hair. So I am actually gonna go with the more authentic color on this one. So I'm using Blood Angel Red. Because I actually do like that idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Blood Angel, and then I'm probably going to use Null Oil just to, like, darken the red a little bit. But I kind of like that. I kind of like that idea of... And then what does he have? I'm going to give him green eyes, I think. That's what we're going to give him. But I really, really actually like that. I mean, I had a funny feeling I was going to keep it. I very much like that. I like the red. The red makes him look really cool. I mean, not that he's a Dwarven unit, and not that he's, anything to do with the Fire Slayers, but he's got, like, a very interesting, like, Fire Slayer look to him, which I kind of like. Oh, nope, I want to do that. Alright, we're probably going to end in just a minute. I'm just going to do the red on him. And then we're probably going to call it quits for tonight, but... I'm going to have to redo that. That's okay. It happens. I know, usually when I say that, then, like, it's funny. Like, barrage of people walk in. But unfortunately, I do have to be up a little on the early side tomorrow, so... But I think we'll do a little bit more... I think we're going to do some Pokemon tomorrow night. I haven't played any more Violet. So I think we're gonna do a little bit of that. Oh man. Very cool though. And this is of course gonna extend to should extend to the main. It should extend to other areas as well. So I'm gonna relook at that. I was thinking of using like purple too, but I feel like I use purple a lot for like other elements. And like I can kind of forego it in this case. But I do like it with the red. But yeah, like these are supposed to be red. We'll get to all those, but like I think this is a good stopping point for now. So we did a lot of work on some of the hair elements. We did a lot of work on the base toning for the skin. We started to paint some of the other bone elements on him. So all good starting points. We even got some gold on him, so we're gonna start to build more and more. But you can see how when you really block out well those larger areas, you know, we can start to really make an impact and difference, and we can start to see that shading build up. And we're definitely going to start getting some of those details done. But it's just a massively cool model. I know we didn't really talk about it as I was painting it, but it's just a really impressive, cool model. I love these big models, these big creatures. And like I said, I love the idea that he would be part of, I would use him in my orc army. And he would be an ally unit in there. And I can't wait to just keep delving in. I've had so much fun painting these big units. Be'lakor was the other one that we did live on the channel, which you can take a look at those older videos as well. Again, for my folks that were on YouTube, if you want to follow us, please follow the channel. Right now I'm archiving a lot of my videos up there, but we're going to have some original content on YouTube as well. It'll be different from our Twitch. If you're interested in being part of our Twitch community, you can come and see us. We have a schedule. We do Marvel Crisis Protocol painting on Mondays. We do AOS Fantasy, Warhammer Fantasy on Tuesdays. Wednesdays are going to be our live art creative show. It's going to be where we focus on creating my indie comics that you'll be able to get access to on my Patreon. So you can become a Patreon member. There's an early access for that. Links below in my Twitch. You could also get us to, if you go to our social media, you can find ways to get to that as well. And then, of course, if you're on Twitch, if you want to follow and sign up for notifications. And then on Thursdays, we do our 40K painting. So we are live 4 days a week with varying content. And then, like I said, I throw in game reviews, unboxings. We do other little things here and there that are not always scheduled. So again, to get to that content, you got to be following us and signing up for notifications. Thank you all for watching as always. Again, I want to thank my official sponsor for this video, Undiscovered Realms, where you can go and grab models, paints, collectible cards, Funko Pops, retro toys, all kinds of manner of gaming stuff. Please check them out, even D&D stuff. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow, I think. We're going to do some Pokemon Violet gameplay, which I haven't done in a little bit. And we'll see you soon. Take care.